She walked into a police station exactly 365 days after she disappeared. Her clothes were torn, her hands were shaking, and the story she told would shake an entire community to its core. This is the true story of the teacher who vanished in Colorado. Before we dive into this incredible story, let me ask you something. What would make a beloved teacher, a pillar of her community, disappear without a trace? No goodbye, no warning, just gone. For 1 year, police had nothing. No leads, no body, no answers. Her family held vigils. Her students lit candles, and then, on the exact anniversary of her disappearance, she walked through the doors of the Grand Junction Police Department and said 5 words that changed everything. I need to tell you everything, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to where it all began. Meet Sarah Mitchell, a 34-year-old elementary school teacher in Grand Junction, Colorado. By all accounts, Sarah was living the life she'd always dreamed of. She taught 3rd grade at Mesa View Elementary, where she was known for her creative lesson plans and her ability to connect with even the most challenging students. Her coworkers described her as dependable, warm, and dedicated. She coached the after-school book club, volunteered at the local animal shelter on weekends, and never missed a Monday morning staff meeting. Sarah was the kind of person who remembered everyone's birthday and always had encouraging words when you needed them most. That's why what happened on October 12, 2022, made absolutely no sense. It was a Tuesday morning. Sarah's alarm went off at 6:15 a.m., just like it did every school day. Her car was still in the driveway. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, fully charged. Her purse, her wallet, even her reading glasses were left behind. The only thing missing was Sarah herself. When she didn't show up for work that morning, the school called her emergency contact, her sister Jennifer. Jennifer immediately drove to Sarah's house and found the front door unlocked. Nothing appeared disturbed. No signs of a struggle. Sarah's coffee maker was on, the pot half full. It was as if she'd simply stepped out for a moment and never returned. By that afternoon, Jennifer had filed a missing person report. Within 48 hours, search and rescue teams were combing the nearby Colorado National Monument. Police interviewed neighbors, friends, family members. Everyone said the same thing: this wasn't like Sarah. She would never just leave. As days turned into weeks, the theories started flying. Had she been abducted? Had she suffered some kind of mental breakdown? Was there a secret life no one knew about? The police investigation turned up nothing. No activity on her bank accounts. No surveillance footage showing her leaving town. It was as if Sarah Mitchell had simply vanished into thin air. The community rallied around the search for Sarah. Her students made posters. Her fellow teachers organized search parties every weekend. Local news stations ran stories, and Sarah's face appeared on missing person flyers across western Colorado. Her family never gave up hope. Jennifer appeared on local news at least once a month, pleading for information. Sarah, if you're out there, if you can hear this, please come home. We love you. We just want to know you're safe. But as the months dragged on, even the most optimistic began to lose hope. The police investigation grew cold. The search parties became smaller. By the 6-month mark, some people whispered that Sarah must be dead, that her body was somewhere in the vast Colorado wilderness, waiting to be discovered. Sarah's classroom at Mesa View Elementary remained empty. The school hired a substitute teacher, but they kept Sarah's name on the door, a small act of faith that maybe, just maybe, she'd return. And then, on October 12, 2023, exactly 1 year after she disappeared, Sarah Mitchell walked into the Grand Junction Police Department. Officer Rebecca Torres was working the front desk that afternoon when Sarah walked in. At first, Officer Torres didn't recognize her. Sarah had lost at least 20 pounds. Her hair, once shoulder-length and carefully styled, was now long and matted. She wore clothes that didn't fit properly, jeans that were too big, a men's flannel shirt, worn-out sneakers. But when Sarah approached the desk and said her name, Officer Torres nearly fell out of her chair. Within minutes, Sarah was in an interview room with 2 detectives. Her sister was called. A crisis counselor was brought in. And then Sarah began to tell her story, a story so shocking that even seasoned investigators had trouble believing it. Sarah explained that on the morning of October 12, 2022, she had received a phone call. The voice on the other end was calm, matter-of-fact. They told her they had been watching her. They knew where she lived, where she worked, and where her family lived. And they had her nephew Jennifer's 8-year-old son Michael. The caller gave her instructions. She was to walk out of her house immediately, leave everything behind, and get into the white van waiting at the end of her street. If she called the police, if she told anyone, if she did anything other than exactly what they said, Michael would be killed. Sarah, terrified and seeing no other choice, did exactly as she was told. She walked out her front door and got into the van. That's where her year-long nightmare began. According to Sarah, she was taken to a remote cabin somewhere in the mountains. She never learned exactly where. She was held there by 3 people who wore masks whenever they were around her. For the first few weeks, she was kept in a locked room with minimal food and water. She was told that as long as she cooperated, her nephew would remain safe. But here's where the story takes its most shocking turn. Sarah wasn't being held for ransom. She wasn't being trafficked. The truth was far stranger. Her captors wanted her to teach. Over the course of her captivity, Sarah pieced together what was happening. She was being forced to homeschool 5 children who lived in the cabin, children ranging from ages 6 to 14. These weren't her captors' children. From what Sarah could gather, the children had been taken from various places, kept hidden from the world, and now needed education. Sarah was essentially teaching a one-room schoolhouse in captivity. She held classes 6 days a week, teaching reading, math, science, and history. Her captors provided basic textbooks and supplies. They monitored her lessons through cameras installed throughout the room. At first, Sarah was purely focused on survival and protecting her nephew. But as the months wore on, something unexpected happened. She began to genuinely care for the children in her charge. They were victims too scared, confused, desperate for normalcy. Teaching them became not just her prison, but also her purpose. Sarah told police she tried to escape 3 times in the first 6 months. Each time she was caught. Each time her captors showed her a live video feed of her nephew, a reminder of what was at stake. After the 3rd attempt, she stopped trying, but Sarah Mitchell was smarter than her captors realized. She began leaving subtle clues in her lessons. She taught the children about geography and made them write essays about their dream vacation, hoping they might include details about where they really were. She created math problems with hidden codes. She even taught them songs with lyrics she'd modified to include information about her situation. And then, in late September 2023, everything changed. There was some kind of falling out among her captors. Sarah heard arguing, shouting. 2 of the 3 masked figures left the cabin and didn't return. The remaining person became distracted, less vigilant. On the night of October 11, 2023, Sarah noticed that the door to her room hadn't been properly locked. She waited until 3 a.m. when she was certain everyone was asleep, and she ran. She ran through the darkness, through the forest with no idea where she was going. She ran for hours until she hit a paved road. She flagged down a truck driver who gave her a ride to the nearest town. And from there, she went straight to the police. Sarah's reappearance sent shockwaves through Grand Junction and triggered a massive law enforcement operation. Within hours, FBI agents were joining local police. A helicopter was deployed. Search teams were mobilized. Using the details Sarah provided, authorities located the cabin 2 days later. What they found was disturbing. The cabin was abandoned. Her 3 captors were gone. But the 5 children were still there, scared and confused, but physically unharmed. All 5 children were rescued and placed in protective custody. Investigators launched a nationwide search for the 3 suspects Sarah described. As I'm recording this, 2 have been arrested and charged with multiple counts of kidnapping and child endangerment. The 3rd remains at large. Sarah's nephew, Michael, was never actually in danger. The video feeds her captors had shown her were recordings from before her kidnapping, surveillance footage used to manipulate her into compliance. It was all an elaborate deception to keep Sarah from fighting back or trying to escape. As for Sarah herself, she's slowly rebuilding her life. She's undergone extensive trauma counseling. She's reconnected with her family and friends. The school district has welcomed her back whenever she feels ready, though Sarah says she's not sure if she'll ever return to teaching, at least not in a traditional classroom. The 5 children she taught during her captivity are receiving care and therapy. Investigators are working to identify them and locate their families. Early reports suggest that at least 3 of the children had been reported missing from different states over the previous 2 years. Sarah Mitchell's story is one of resilience, survival, and the unbreakable human spirit. She was taken from her life, held captive for 365 days, and forced into an unimaginable situation. Yet she never stopped thinking, never stopped looking for a way out, and never stopped being a teacher, even when teaching became her prison. In a recent interview, Sarah said something that stuck with me. "Those children saved me as much as I tried to save them. Teaching them gave me purpose when I had nothing else. It reminded me who I was when everything had been taken away." The investigation continues. Questions remain unanswered. Who organized this operation? Why were these children taken? How many more victims might there be? Law enforcement officials say this case has opened up connections to other missing person cases across the country. But for now, Sarah Mitchell is home. She's safe, and 5 children who spent years in captivity are finally free, thanks in part to the teacher who never gave up on them. This has been the incredible true story of the teacher who vanished in Colorado. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime stories. And remember, if you or someone you know is missing, never stop hoping, never stop searching. As Sarah's story proves, miracles can happen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.